What can we expect to see on the 23rd regarding the new class and the new Paragon and the new leveling system inside of Diablo Immortal? Yesterday, I did a long live stream sharing with you guys all of my footage from the Tempest. We also did a video breaking down the Tempest and the Paragon systems. It was a long day, and it's actually the evening of that same day upon recording this, so I am beat. I'm rocked right now, guys. It's been a really long day, but I wanted to share a little bit more of information with you regarding what we can actually see. And I wanted to break down the documentary regarding the making of the Tempest. I realized it's something that I didn't do yesterday, even though that did launch yesterday. So if you missed that whole documentary, well, you're about to see it inside of this video, and we could talk about that as well. But first, notice I'm playing on the iPad. My iPad is old. It does not play Diablo Immortal well. It will even crash from time to time, and the graphics aren't great. But the reason I'm on my iPad and not on the PC is because of this icon in the top. Notice it says 6 days. That is not on the PC. When I was just playing on PC 20 minutes ago, it was not there. So it's only a mobile feature. So that's why we're recording this from mobile, because this is telling us exactly what we're going to be seeing, at least some of the big things for this update. Notice, Paragon updates are scheduled for May 23rd. Achievements accomplished. The highest difficulty unlock is Inferno 6. You're going to be getting rewards in the form of crests for whatever level you're at. Now, if we want to take a look right here, simplification details, notice I am at Inferno 6 right now, which is gonna, at the very bottom, I'm at Inferno 6, 1,328. It's gonna bump me to Hell 3. We discussed how it's going from all the way from Hell 1 through 8, Inferno 1 through Inferno 6, to now only Hell 1 through 3. And the breakdown is shown as well. And we're going to get some rewards because of the progression we made in Inferno. They're giving us 6 legendary crests for anyone that's at Paragon level right now, and 12 rare crests. It also shows you if, for example, you're at lower hell difficulties and your combat rating or your Paragon level is lower, you'll get less legendary and rare crests, and the higher it is, the more you get. I'm going to be getting the largest amount. But notice it shows you here, we're going from Inferno 6 down to Hell 3. Hell 3 will last until 299, I believe, when it goes to the next one. We'll have to take a look. I forget what that actually was. Difficulty levels are going to be reduced. Difficulty options were reduced from 15 to 4. So essentially, the 15 levels of Hell and Inferno difficulties are now going to be Hell 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the Paragon system has been simplified. We went through this in depth yesterday on the live stream and in the video. There are going to be 5 Paragon trees, of which you can choose 1 Paragon tree, 5 of the skills, and then an additional unlock skill that unlocks itself at Paragon level 300, where you can unlock 1 additional skill from a different Paragon tree. If you want all the details on that, go check out the videos from yesterday. We don't need to go too much into that today. And obviously, we're getting the Tempest as well, right? Additional changes, difficulty levels, and Paragon levels will be adjusted to maintain character attributes. The number of difficulty modes has been reduced from 15 to 4, and the difficulties of Hell 1 through Hell 8 have been adjusted to Hell 1. Inferno 1, 2, and 3 are adjusted to Hell 2, and Inferno 1 through 6 have been adjusted to Hell 3. The maximum Paragon level has been reduced from 1,399 to 299. After the adjustment, equipment and demonic items will be adjusted as with the same attributes. So we're not going to be losing anything. It's just how they're breaking down where we're going to lie. In addition to this, you're still going to be gaining 10 Paragon levels per week if you're staying up with the server Paragon. Challenge rifts, how are they going to change? Challenge rifts will be reduced from a maximum of 600 to 200 levels. Wow. Players in Hell 1 difficulty or lower can challenge up to level 100 to become a solo rift challengers. Players in Hell 2 difficulty or higher can challenge up to level 200 in challenge rifts. And historical first achievements will be retained and can be carried in leaderboards for first history awards, first history honors. Completing all 200 challenge rifts will grant you 8,250 enigmatic crystals and 54,540 cryptic crystals, the same total as before this simplification. Rewards can't be obtained repeatedly. So everything is being just squished down, but the rewards we're getting are about the same. Heliquary update. Simplified difficulty. Hell 1 allows you to challenge Helliquary bosses such as Oppenheim and Skin Veiled, Catarag, and Strangling Sun, and a bunch of these other ones. We have, so all those are the bosses, the Helliquary bosses that we can do in Hell 1. Because remember, there's more we can do in one Hell difficulty now because they're combining all of them. So it's not going to be just 2 to 4 per level. We're going to be able to get more of them. Simplified Hell 2, you're going to get these Helliquary bosses, and Hell 3, you're going to be getting these. The difficulty, you can challenge all of these different ones. So essentially, when you get to Hell 1, you're going to have a whole array of bosses you can challenge. When you get to Hell 2, a whole new array, rather than having to wait for smaller Paragon jumps to then get a couple more bosses here and there. And Codex fixes. With the adjustments to difficulties, Paragon levels, Challenge Rift, and Helliquary, relevant content in the Codex, including the guide, conquest, heroes, journey, and achievements, will also be adjusted. Take a look at the conversion chart one more time. It's showing you what Hell difficulties were and what they are going to be at the end. I'm assuming that most of you are probably at Paragon level, so you'll be going into Hell 3. Anyone that is currently at 1,100 Paragon will be in Hell 3 with me upon all of this. So those are the changes that's coming, along with, of course, the Tempest, which all of us will be class changing to. But why don't we take a look right now and see exactly what this whole developers documentary about creating this class was all about. Is this gonna even show? How is this gonna look right now? Let's actually, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, I think it's gonna cover me up, but you know what? That's okay. Let's take a look.
Tempest is our opportunity to carve out a new space and give people things that they haven't seen before, but which also feel iconic.
Our first early playtests were definitely super exciting.
From a gameplay idea, it was very different than our other classes.
It's a very unique take on a new class for Diablo Immortal.
Everyone can kind of see that this was going to be a really fun class.
Of course it's going to be a fun class. I played the thing. It is a lot of fun. It's very different.
The development was kind of like we had to step back and look at where our characters sat on sort of the graph.
All right, take a look at this really quickly. The class tone chart, it's putting the Tempest in a tone of light, like the Crusader. All this has to do is with what the class is kind of like, what it looks like. It has nothing to do with how it plays. As you can see, let's focus on Diablo Immortal, not Diablo 3 or Diablo 2. Very dark. We have the Necro and the Bloodlight. The Necromancer summoning the dead. The Blood Knight covered in blood. Dark, we have the Demon Hunter. Still a dark character, but not as dark as a Blood Knight. Neutral, the Barb and the Wizard. They're not really bright and light, and they're not really demonic. Then we're getting into the light ones, the Tempest and the Crusader. And very light, we have the Monk. I mean, literally bright light coming out of that guy. So it's just how they gave the tone of this class.
Of like their play style, the combat style, what kind of tone they are as well.
When we started on the path that would become the Tempest.
By the way, Ryan Quinn, this guy right here, incredible storyteller. When I met him over at Blizzard headquarters and he was telling the lore of the Tempest, I mean, I'm not a lore guy, and I was just staring at him and listening to the story that he was telling. Amazing creator right here. Just big props to Ryan.
That would become the Tempest. We had just finished most of the initial development for the Blood Knight, and that was a very, very dark-toned class. You know, a lot of blood and violence and impaling people and et cetera. And so there was, I think, an initial desire from the team to do something that was a bit more on the light tone side. And so this was something that was a little bit more flowing and slender and agile, and that felt like a good counterbalance to the heavy armor wielding Blood Knight.
We work very closely with narratives. It's like playing tennis. We're passing the ball to each other and then building upon each other's ideas until eventually it becomes what the Tempest is today. Once we have a face, for the first time, we have a person that we can relate with on a much more personal level.
I think that's really cool how they talk about once they give the character a face, they can start giving it characteristics and a personality. But that was cool how they mentioned this in the development.
That's when the expressions come, that's when the personality comes, and then everything sort of started flowing from there.
You want this to be a person who is the calm in the eye of the hurricane, that they wield all of the fury of the wind and waves, but they come from this background that necessitates that they are pure of heart, noble of mind, resolute, devoted to others, pro-social, etc., etc.
The Tempest is an exile. They are someone who has been forced to leave their home and come to the mainland. They're someone heroic who has been removed from their environment, not by their own choice. The Cold Isles, as they're known to outsiders, or Pelgain, as they're known to locals, are a series of islands that are the heart of an empire that has seen better days. It was once a glorious empire that spanned from Shansai to north of Ariat and has now sort of fallen to ruin as a result of this ongoing ecological disaster. They have this great power and...
Tell me that doesn't look like Wolverine right there. Every time I see that shot right there, I think Wolverine. Do you?
They need something to do with it.
If you're gonna name a class the Tempest, there has to be a certain amount of whirling chaos. There has to be a certain amount of explosive fury. If someone just looks at the silhouette of this character, what are they expecting to see? They see a dual blade wielder decked out in teal or turquoise armor. How do they expect that person to move? How do they expect that person to act?
When we first create a brand new class, kind of think of like what cool abilities really accentuate the fiction of the class.
Those are like the Zephyrs that we spoke about on our stream the other day.
Knew that we wanted them to be masters of water and wind, but how can we put that into a play style?
As system designers, we need to try and figure out how to realize that into actual gameplay.
I describe the Tempest as kind of a magic assassin. We dialed in on its attacks. We wanted it to be focused on wind and water, and from there that inspired a lot of the game.
See that right there? This animation right here, it's like they hand draw it like they did cartoons back in the day when they're initially creating this. I think that's really cool also, just from the development standpoint.
Gameplay.
The Tempest wields a wind edge and a water edge. And these are daggers, but they're daggers that serve as focuses for the elemental power that they wield.
Being able to swing the daggers around on lines of water was something that was a crazy idea if you think about it. But once you saw it in game, it looks so natural.
They have this non-traditional kind of mobility. It's a really compelling sort of pinballing around or flowing across, if you will, the battlefield kind of play experience.
Kind of like the Monk, right? Kind of like an acrobatic gameplay. Although very different, especially with how the blades work that they're talking about. I actually love how that feels. It does have the acrobaticness that I felt when I played the Monk back in betas and stuff.
Everything we do on Diablo Immortal is in the interest of bridging the gap between all of our other titles and making the universe feel more cohesive and real. And I think that with Tempest especially, we've done a really good job at that, making this feel like a place that the players will be excited to explore more.
Certainly in fantasy games, there have been classes like this, but not exactly this.
I have no doubt that the Tempest class is going to be an iconic Diablo character for years to come.
Iconic character class for years to come. I mean, I can't wait for it to come to the game as well. I was really happy that we got a little bit of a look right here of what we're going to be getting. This explained pretty nicely what's coming on the 23rd, and there's going to be a whole bunch more that comes along with this. But this gave us a little bit of an explanation, and I really do like the simplification details here, showing you the Hell difficulties and how Inferno is transferring to Hell through Hell 3 and eventually Hell 4. It's just makes sense to simplify this stuff based on how long the game is going to be living and how many difficulties and Paragon trees they would have had to made with the old system. It makes sense to make these changes. Let me know what you guys think. If you didn't check out my live stream, it's a 2-hour-long live stream. It's on the main page of my YouTube channel, and it shows you all of the footage from when I was over at Blizzard and me playing the new Paragon trees and playing the Tempest. In addition to that, I did put out a video. If you don't have 2 hours of time, believe me, I don't blame you. Then I have a video that's about 15 minutes long breaking down all of that information in a more condensed piece of content. I'll link both of them up above in a card and maybe in the description, maybe not, I don't know, maybe in the pinned comment. But guys, make sure you subscribe so you're up to date on everything Diablo Immortal.